Alright, imagine this. You're scrolling through your feed. It could be Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, or even YouTube. And you notice something. Everyone, your friend from high school, your favorite barista, your coworker's cat, seems to be a brand. They have logos, curated color palettes, polished bios, and perfectly crafted content. They're sharing their journey, promoting their mission, and selling themselves like they're the next big product. But here's the twist. They're not selling shoes, tech, or services. They're selling themselves. So why? Why is everything a brand now, even people? And how did we get here, to a world where you are expected to be both the product and the promoter? Let's break it down. The birth of branding. Branding didn't start with people. It started with products. Way back in the late 1800s, when mass production took off, companies needed ways to distinguish themselves. Soap wasn't just soap anymore, it became Ivory. Cornflakes became Kellogg's. Cigarettes became Marlboro. Logos were created. Slogans written. Emotions tied to objects. This was branding in its infancy, associating a name with a feeling. Fast forward to the 20th century, branding becomes an empire. Coca-Cola isn't just a drink. Nike isn't just a shoe. Apple isn't just a tech company. They're ideas, identities, lifestyles. And eventually, this strategy began to trickle down, not just to businesses, but to people. The social media shift. Then came social media. Suddenly, everyone had a platform. Everyone could publish. Everyone had an audience, whether it was 5 followers or 5 million. And platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube weren't just about connection anymore. They became arenas of performance. You weren't just you were a profile. A feed, a vibe, a persona. And so, personal branding was born. At first, it was about influencers. Bloggers, vloggers, creators who turned their personalities into content and their followers into income. But it didn't stop there. Soon everyone, from students to CEOs, was told, you need to build your brand. What is personal branding really? At its core, personal branding is this: the intentional effort to influence how the world perceives you. It's how you present yourself, your values, your story, your image, across platforms. It's the LinkedIn headline, the Instagram bio, the carefully chosen profile picture, the way you talk, dress, even tweet. And in today's attention economy, your personal brand isn't just a nice-to-have, it's your leverage. The influencer economy. So why the explosion? In short, money. Brands realize that people trust people more than ads. And influencers, those who built loyal followings by simply sharing their lives, became marketing goldmines. A post. A video. A mention. That's all it takes. And so began the rise of the creator economy. A world where anyone with a phone and a story could, theoretically, become a business. And if you weren't building your personal brand, you were falling behind. Branding beyond influencers. Here's where it gets wild. This isn't just about social media celebs anymore. Doctors, teachers, software engineers, fitness coaches, consultants, everyone's expected to craft their brand. On LinkedIn? Show thought leadership. On TikTok? Be authentic and entertaining. On Instagram? Be polished and aspirational. On Twitter? Be witty, insightful, and viral ready. Even dating apps? That's branding too. Bios, photos, captions, it's all marketing. We've entered an era where the line between person and persona is almost invisible. The psychology behind it. So what drives this urge to brand ourselves? A few things. Validation. Every like, share, or follow gives us a hit of dopamine. We chase it. Opportunity. In a competitive world, being known gives you an edge: jobs, clients, collaborations. Control. When you brand yourself, you get to tell the story before someone else does. Survival. For freelancers, creators, or gig workers, personal branding isn't optional. It's income. But there's a darker side too. The downsides of being a brand. When you become the product, boundaries blur. Burnout becomes real. Everything feels performative. Privacy becomes a luxury. Comparison is constant. And worst of all, you may start to believe your brand is who you are. That if you're not posting, engaging, or growing, you're failing. That your worth is tied to your followers, your aesthetics, your reach. It's exhausting. Everything's a subscription. Everything's a brand. We now live in a world where artists aren't just making art, they're building platforms. Writers aren't just writing, they're monetizing newsletters. Developers aren't just coding, they're tweeting hot takes. People aren't just living, they're documenting. Even resumes? Portfolios? Cover letters? They've been replaced with online presence. In short, the line between content and existence is disappearing. The rise of micro-influencers and everyday brands. But here's something fascinating. You don't need 1 million followers to be a brand. Nano and micro-influencers, people with just hundreds or thousands of followers, are now seen as more trusted than celebrities. Why? Because they feel real. Relatable. Human. And so, personal branding has become democratized. It's not about fame, it's about consistency, connection, and authenticity. Even ordinary people are landing brand deals, book deals, and business deals just by showing up with a point of view. What's next? So, where does this all go? Are we all doomed to become walking, talking logos? Maybe not. There's already a growing pushback, a movement toward digital minimalism, authenticity, and offline presence. Some creators are choosing depth over reach. Some users are logging off completely. Some people are realizing, I am more than my brand. But personal branding isn't going anywhere. Not completely. Because the internet isn't just where we connect anymore, it's where we exist. And in that world, branding is how we signal. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is how I show up. Final thoughts. We didn't always have to market ourselves. But in a world where attention is currency, being invisible feels risky. Still, here's the truth. You are not your content. You are not your follower count. You are allowed to evolve, to step back, to be human, not just a brand. Build your platform if you want. But don't let the algorithm decide your identity. Because long after trends fade, what really matters is who you are offline. And hey, if you found this exploration into personal branding and influencer culture thought-provoking, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ever asked, should I start a personal brand? We've got more long-form deep dives coming your way, unpacking the systems that shape our world, the myths we live by, and the truths we tend to overlook. Stay curious. Stay kind. And I'll see you in the next one.